Welcome to UNCAGED, a show that celebrates thought leadership from today's top business leaders. The program provides a voice to amazing executives from around the globe who are shaping the world of business today and mapping the path to the commerce of tomorrow. We are actually truly reaching around the globe today with our guest, Louis Efron, who is in, I can't say sunny Scotland, but Scotland. We're excited to talk to you today. Welcome to the show, Louis.
Man, thanks for having me. Excited to be here.
Great. So Louis is the founder and CEO of the Voice of Purpose, a human resources and leadership development company helping organizations and individuals around the world build high-performing, purpose-based cultures and lives. We're going to talk a lot about a new initiative, actually, that Louis is pushing and developing called Engaged on Purpose, a new application that they're rolling out. I'm excited to learn more about that. Also, Louis is the founder of a charity called World Child Cancer USA, and we'll touch upon the work that charity has been doing over the years and the plans for that going forward. So, Louis, thank you so much for being on the show. To kick things off, I'd love to just kind of take a step back and hear a little bit about yourself and your career and what led to the creation of the Voice of Purpose.
Yeah, thank you again for having me. And I have a sort of a colorful background in my career. I started out in the arts. My undergraduate's in theatrical directing, and I spent the first 8 years of my career managing Broadway shows and producing and directing off-Broadway and off-Broadway. An amazing labor of love, but doesn't really pay the rent all that well. So when I decided I wanted to stay somewhere a little longer term, maybe have a relationship in life, I moved over into the world of HR and ended up joining a remarkable company called Stryker, which I started as a labor relations specialist there. And over an 11-year period, worked all over the world with them and rose to a vice president of human resources. Spent also a couple of years in the software industry as a vice president of international HR and global engagement. Had a remarkable opportunity to launch an engagement survey, the first engagement survey platform at Tesla, and then spent some time over at a company called DaVita, building a employee experience division for them or department for them. So really cool stuff. I got a chance to live and work all over the world. As you mentioned, I'm in Scotland right now, and what brought me here is my wife. I met my wife about 14 years ago. And she was working in Scotland and interviewed for a company down in England. That's where I met her. And we ended up having two beautiful daughters. I have a 12-year-old and an 8-year-old, and just keeping us very, very busy during lockdown, trying to educate them at home, which is not an easy thing. But it's been a remarkable ride in life, and I can't complain. I had a chance to do a lot of writing for Forbes and Huffington Post around people, purpose, and leadership. And as you mentioned, founded the company called Voice of Purpose, which basically helps both people align with why they're here on this planet, what their purpose is and what they're trying to fulfill, as well as organizations, what organizations are trying to do above and beyond making money to ultimately make money and be successful. And that's what the Voice of Purpose is about.
That's great. And I would say purpose-driven businesses is very much something that a lot of companies are starting to talk about. Some are acting on it, and I clearly can see how the Voice of Purpose is a catalyst. But certainly the new initiative that you guys are pushing out, the Engaged on Purpose application, seems to take that to the next level. Tell us a little bit more about what you're working on.
Yeah, I am so excited about this platform. I've had about 20 years of experience working with engagement platforms and surveys and programs across major corporations. And this platform essentially brings that all together with my purpose brand, which I've been on the soapbox with for about 10 years. And to your point, I'm loving the fact that organizations are starting to get on board finally, but it's been a long haul. And this platform basically brings that all together. So it measures purpose alignment in the organization, the alignment of your people's personal purpose and the organizational purpose, that connection and synergy, which really drives engagement and business results. It measures engagement in general. It measures belonging and inclusion in your business. It has a remarkable retention tool to see and forecast retention challenges and address them. And it also is a very user-friendly turnkey system for managers to not only get their reports on what the engagement is like and the purpose alignment in their teams, and with their employees, but also it gives valuable advice on how to attack it, how to address it via actions within the actual application. So it's really cool. It's very user-friendly. It's all dashboard-driven, and it's basically a metric to help you improve and ignite engagement in your organization to drive business results and great cultures of care.
Right, and connect that engagement with really kind of a higher order purpose for the business, which is great. Yeah. So the folks that would be essentially kind of rolling something this out, would this come from kind of the human resources group, or who would be the key folks that you'd want to be chatting to?
Yeah, so human resources, obviously, human resource leaders are the key people that would first initially engage in the tool. But I always say, from an HR leader myself, the true power and success of any HR initiative is something driven by the business. So HR would be my first port of call to talk to them and demo this tool. And by the way, the cool thing is we're able to give in this launch a 1-month free trial. So anybody that's looking to do it can try the tool in its entirety and see how it works with no cost, no contract, no strings attached, which is sort of cool. And then, but ultimately, the goal is to have it embraced by the business leaders and drive it as an initiative, because all engagement initiatives, purpose initiatives, has to be driven by your C-suite and your corporate executives in the business, and HR is there to support it. So first port of call, HR, but then the goal is to embed it in businesses and help it really drive business results.
So Louis, I think that, you know, the topic of purpose and purpose-driven business is very timely. But when you think through this topic, and certainly you've been working in this for quite a while, why is it important in business today? What's happening now that really kind of makes this a critical issue today?
You know, it's really interesting. This has been purpose, first of all, part of humanity. It's always been important to people. I think we just haven't spoken about it as much as we do today. Mm-hmm. The interesting catalyst that has really ignited this whole movement is COVID, quite frankly. The last 12 months, we've all been on a very rocky road, being locked in our homes, having to connect with people, working remote, which we've never potentially done in the past. And we're trying to figure this all out. So if you don't have a strong connection to something that's important to you in life, a purpose that you believe in and that you're working towards, it's difficult to be fully engaged and stay focused, especially in an environment where we have so much coming at us now and so many challenges just from a personal perspective. So I find purpose is the anchor behind everything we're doing. For example, if you have remote employees that are working for the first time without anybody there looking after them, right? There's lots of challenges with that. It makes it easier for other recruiters to be poaching your talent because there's no one looking over their shoulder potentially in the office, right? It's easy to interview for other jobs. It's easy to get sidetracked with other things going in your life. It's easy to work on side projects that may have interest to you. But if you have a really strong connection to the purpose of the organization, what you're doing, you believe it's bigger than the money aspect, right? It's something, a legacy you're leaving. You work hard at it. You produce better quality work, you focus on it, you make time for it, and you stay engaged with it. And if you're just doing a 9-to-5 job, for example, and just getting a paycheck, and that's your mentality around it, and I know we all need money to survive, I get it, but if you combine that, right, if you combine your purpose and what you want to do in life with making money, then that's just an ultimate accelerator. So I think this time more than anything, if you're not anchored to a strong purpose, it's easy to get sidetracked and depressed and lonely and anxious about what's going on in the world. But purpose overrides that. And that's the exciting thing about what we're doing today.
That's a really great point. I often describe the life right now during the pandemic as living on kind of like a nuclear submarine under, for months on end, being kind of like connected but not connected to the world. And certainly I can see how purpose plays a key role, especially with the topic that you just raised, which is remote work and trying to kind of galvanize and connect and remind people of the greater meaning that they have and that the organization can have.
Yeah,
that's absolutely great. So, I mean, you raised the topic of COVID as being an accelerator for the topic of purpose. I guess I want to kind of take a step back and and ask you a question, which is, you're now in Scotland, because of the pandemic. And I'd just be curious, what is making you happy? What's bringing you joy right now? I kind of like to ask this question just to get a sense of how people are doing.
Yeah, absolutely. It's no doubt been an incredibly difficult year, but the one thing that anchors me in my life is my family. I have my lovely wife and two daughters. And regardless of, we've had all our stuff in storage for the last year in Colorado because we were between home moves when this whole thing hit, and we were out here visiting her relatives. And just having the family, it's the most important thing. And so that makes me incredibly happy in the way my two girls have really embraced the adventure with everything going on. They keep me honest and always reaffirm the things I've always shared with them about a positive mindset and looking at things in different ways. So they keep me grounded, love them to death. And so that is something that's very important in my life. And then obviously the ability to help people. Obviously my purpose is to enlighten, inspire, and teach. And I get to do that even remotely through podcasts like this, through keynotes that I've been doing virtually, and all the work I'm doing virtually. So that still is a really strong driver for me to make me.
And Louis, I mean, clearly one of the purposes that you have, and one of the topics that clearly is important for you, is the work that you've done as the founder and on the board of the World Child Cancer Organization, USA. Love to know more about what you're doing, what that organization is doing, and how that is moving forward.
Yeah, so World Child Cancer USA is a remarkable organization. It's connected to a larger charity that was founded initially in the UK, and it helps children with treatable cancer, cancer in general, help improve and save lives of children in developing countries where they just can't get the care they need, they can't get the medication, they can't get the knowledge that they need to save these lives of these children. And in a lot of cases, treatable cancer in these developing countries are a situation where a few $100s will save a life. And that was very important to me, to be involved in a charity that was able to really make a strong difference. I was very blessed with two beautiful, healthy daughters. Unfortunately, my family has been heavily hit with cancer. Both parents have passed away, lots of relatives because of it. My sister just went through battling breast cancer, and she's still dealing with some of the ramifications of that. So I've had a lot of personal family challenges with cancer. So I wanted to do something that in that space to make a difference, the way of giving back, and around children, because I believe children obviously are the future of our world, and they can't help themselves in a lot of cases, and especially in these developing countries where a lot of cases they can't even get to a doctor and they die because they're going to a witch doctor or something. As crazy as that may sound, those type of things are happening. So we've been able to help thousands of children over the almost decade I've been involved in this particular charity, and we've got huge targets moving forward, and it's a really important cause to me, and we're making a big difference.
Well, I'm really glad that you're pushing that forward. It is critical, and I think a lot about the medical care situation right now, as we all have become pseudo doctors during this pandemic, and we now think about the rollout of things like the vaccines in all of those in the developing world as well. And this is just I would imagine just that's just an ancillary topic to the issue of cancer, especially with children around the world. So clearly lots of challenges there, and I can see how the work that you're doing there is going to be very, very important. So let's talk a little bit about how you see the topic of purpose in these organizations evolving. I would say that, when I think about Engaged on Purpose, this new app that you're rolling out, it sounds like maybe we're at a moment where companies are starting to operationalize a little bit more their activities. Is that fair to say in the purpose space?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at the end of the day, whatever organization you're in, whether you're in a for-profit or not-for-profit, this cash flow has got to happen, right? You have to have a good business strategy.
You got to make money.
And if you don't, basically you go to business and you don't fulfill any purpose. So the funny thing is, when I first started in this space, money was sort of a dirty word in the purpose space. People were talking about leading with the heart and care, but it just doesn't work if you have a broken business model.
Right.
So the purpose has got to be operationalized like everything else. And as I mentioned in my career, I've come from a background of working in engagement spaces for a long time where there was a lot of resources put towards measuring the connection between engagement and ultimately business results, right? You can see a correlation. We all know there's 40 years of research around that correlation. And it's the same thing in purpose. I mean, engagement and purpose have a lot of synergy together. It's really just why you come to work each day above and beyond making a paycheck, but it feeds right into your engagement. So operationalizing it and understanding it from a business metrics is the most important thing. I mean, it's literally like a dashboard where you see the needle moving on your purpose alignment, you see the needle moving on your engagement improvement, and you see the needle moving on your top and bottom line business results. And that's what's got to happen, because at the end of the day, CEOs, their objectives is to grow that business, right? They go to bed, wake up each day thinking about the top and bottom line. Now, the cool thing is you can do it by caring for your people. And the more you care for your people, the more your business grows. But there's got to be that connection and synergy. It doesn't sit by itself. It's not, you can't lead an organization entirely from the heart and expect it to be successful. It's got to be heart and head coming together, and that synergy between purpose and business results.
I love that. I love that. I like this idea of like heart-driven growth. there you go.
Absolutely.
Well, listen, Louis, I think you're onto something. It's been great to talk to you. We've had Louis Efron on UNCAGED today. Louis Efron is the founder and CEO of the Voice of Purpose, a human resources and leadership development company, helping organizations and individuals around the world build high-performing, purpose-based cultures and lives. He's been talking to us about their new application that they're rolling out called Engaged on Purpose, as well as the charity that he founded, World Child Cancer USA. Louis, it's been amazing having you on the show. If people want to learn more about Engaged on Purpose, where should they go?
Yeah, they can go directly to my website at louisefron.com. There's actually a contact page to get set up to get on the waiting list to see a demo of it. Or you can connect with me on LinkedIn. I always love to meet new people on LinkedIn as well.
Great. Well, listen, thank you so much for being on UNCAGED today, and we look forward to having you back.
Awesome. Thanks for having me, Matt. Take care.
Cheers.
Bye.